Welcome back to Irvine, California, our Saints training camp report right here on Your View alongside NFL Network Insider Ian Rapoport. I'm Erin Summers. The Saints last year, 9-8, over 500, however, not the season that they were hoping for. How do you think they're going to be able to improve on that this season?
I would say probably two ways. Now look, there's some things here, the infrastructure, especially defensively, really good. I don't think anyone has any doubts this team is going to get after you on defense. They're going to cover. They're going to attack you. I think defense is going to be, as it always is with the Dennis Allen team, defense is going to be fine. To me, this is about offensive line. Tali Fuaga was a pick that I think everyone universally really liked. Sounds like on the left side, it's been a pretty easy transition for him, and obviously he is super talented. Trevor Penning obviously has been certainly a big focus, and if he can come in, if he starts anywhere on the offensive line, I think that's good. If he starts at tackle, I think that's great. And it sounds like he's had a pretty good start to camp as well. So, obviously the focus on the offensive line, important. The hire of Clint Kubiak, was one where it was so interesting to kind of track the feelings behind this, because I think if you asked a lot of people, Saints fans especially, they're probably freaking out a little bit about the offensive coordinator. It's like, are they not going to hire anyone? The reality was, they had a guy, his team was just very good, and he was in the playoffs. This was an offensive coordinator that I think a lot of teams wanted to hire, and the fact that he chose the Saints, I think is going to be really good for Derek, really good for the Saints, and I think, that should lead to the improvement that they're seeking.
How are some of the players on this team going to be utilized in that new offense?
I think some of it is going to be a little more nuanced. Like I watch, you watch the 49ers, right? So take some cues from there. I think you're probably going to break a few more runs because the receivers and the tight ends really block. They will block downfield and they will get after it. I think the offensive line, it's a little more sort of quickness based, and you'll see the running backs in a little more space. You'll see them make one cut and go more, which we've seen Alvin Kamara do a lot of things. I think he is going to really thrive, and I think he's probably going to see maybe a little bit bigger openings, bigger holes than he previously had seen. I think you'll see Taysom Hill play a little more tight end, maybe a little less quarterback. And certainly someone who can do it. He can do it at a lot of positions, but I think he's going to thrive too. It's a little injection of some freshness in this offense, and I think needed. I think it's really going to help.
Sure. It's definitely going to be different. It looks different already here in training camp, but something that's stood out as well is the new special teams kickoff return. I mean, that looks wild.
Yeah, I think it's going to be wild. It's going to be weird. We are accustomed, we in an NFL world are accustomed to routine, right? I mean, training camp starts when it starts. You do your tour, you come to camp, you play preseason games, it's like the routine. This is going to look different. It's out of our routine. Now, I think there's going to be some, players who are certainly going to benefit. Like, we'll see who, where it ends up being for the Saints. But, if, Rashid Shaheed can get in the return game a little more. He is an explosive athlete, and I think that's going to help. But it's going to look strange. But I think it's going to be more fun. And I love kickoffs. And it's always frustrating when, you're like, all right, this guy's going to kick it in. It's going to be a touchback. Use the moment to, go get a drink or use the restroom and whatever. Kickoffs are going to be real this year. They're going to be live, and I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're going to have to plan your time off a little bit differently during games now, for sure. Across the league, what are you following? What teams do you think are going to make kind of a jump?
Yeah, I think right now it's a lot about, contracts and how things get settled. We had on Friday, we had Jordan Love and Tua Tagovailoa signed, massive, more than $50 million annual contracts. I think, those are big deals. And, for me, crossing that off, getting it off the to-do list, I think is helpful. For those guys, securing their life and their livelihood is awesome. And, two young, great players that get paid. I think there's a bunch of other deals still out there. Cowboys have a holdout. 49ers have a holdout and a hold-in. Some of those issues across the league. And I think as far as teams, you're always looking for, who's going to make the jump. I would say Texans and Bears are probably in the same, different category, but same category where, both showed flashes last year. Texans maybe more so, but I think both teams could take a little bit of a leap this year.
How exciting do you think the Broncos game against the Saints is going to be?
Those games are always, I think the week of, it's going to be awesome. and then like.
Why? Because the media is going to hype it up so
Yeah,
much?
well, media is going to hype it up so much, and Sean is going to make sure that we don't. And I always enjoy that sort of give and take. But when it's actually football, I think it'll be a game. But the reactions after will be interesting too. I mean, I remember when it was Bill Belichick versus Tom Brady again, and the whole week it was like, it's a business, it's a game, and everything was fine. It was a good game, but it just played out like it did, whatever. And then afterward, Belichick spent an hour in the locker room talking to Brady, by himself in a quiet room, and you're like, it means more.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this will kind of be like. Everyone would tell us it's just kind of whatever, but at the end, even Sean Payton will be like, that was pretty special.
Yeah, there is a lot to look forward to this season. We're just getting started right here at Saints training camp. Ian, thank you so much for joining us, and
Absolutely.
Good luck the rest of the training. I know you're going to be all over the place.
I will be all over, and I appreciated great hanging out with you.
Definitely. We'll be back with more of the Saints training camp report coming up.